Well, how do you read an ingredient list? It's from the first ingredient all the way down to the bottom. So whatever is the first ingredient is the most in that product. So it goes from the biggest of what is being used to the smallest. So as you look at it, it's so empowering to turn it around and go, oh my gosh, first ingredient. It's not just sugar. It's a lab sugar.
Snap
It's
sugar.
called high fructose corn syrup. It's what I won't even allow my kids to eat. If it's I boycott those foods because I've seen what it does to my children. I've seen what it does to me. So you talk about all this hyperactivity. Well, dang it, take that stuff away from the kids and see what happens, you know?
Unbelievable Vegan with Chef Charity on HBO Max. So I had a pleasure of seeing it a few hours ago. Really enjoyed it, and myself being very kind of in the health realm, trying to make sure what I eat and what I watch, what I eat. It was very relatable, and I enjoyed it quite much.
Yay. Well, this is the funny part is you got to see it before me. I haven't seen it yet because I've been so busy that I haven't taken time out to just sit down, but I told my kids I won't see it until they come home from school and I watch it with them.
Yeah, no, they'll like it. Especially for this, the younger generation, it's pretty fast paced, so they will not get distracted or anything like that, and which was cool to watch, which was fun to watch. In any case, before we begin talking about the documentary, I would love to know what your story is. How did you come to be who you are today?
It all started with a love for food. I love food. Have always been a traditional chef and putting together things that I love to eat. And then in 2017, my husband decided that he wanted to do an anti-inflammatory diet for a competitive edge in football. I often tell people it's not always about getting to the NFL, it's about staying in the NFL because it's a short life career. Most guys are out of the league within 2 to 3 years. And I watched my husband try to eat vegan. He had meal plans that he would get delivered to the house, and he struggled. He hated it, but he is so dedicated and committed that he stuck with it because he wanted to see the results. And then as I'm watching him like struggle, I was like, wow, that food looks pretty disgusting. I let me help you out. And that's how I started my journey, helping out my husband. And I truly didn't go into eating plant-based for me because I was like, oh, I'm gonna be vegan. No, I actually tried it after he started, and I never went back because I loved it so much.
That's amazing. Um, I mean, it's a very interesting thing. It's funny actually. 2 days ago, I had a not a burger, but the vegan, if you want to call it vegan meat. I don't know if that what's
Yeah.
the official word for it. And it was different, but it was good at the same time. Uh, but we all have our sort of catalyst of who we become, when, why we become who we become. What was your moment that, I mean, I know you said you love food and everything, but like you want to be chef.
It came from me being a chef. It came from my love for seeing food. So um, I've always loved just being creative. I was a chef before I was a chef. You know what I mean? Like I was always the person that everybody came to their house and I cooked for them as early as like 16 years old. I cooked for everyone. I remember traveling to just traveling to different countries, and I remember a trip in Europe where I realized that it was very little processed foods. Everything was made from scratch, everything. And I was like, whoa, this is how I see my food. This is beautiful. Like I could taste every layer of love. And I wanted to learn that. And that's when I quickly was like, yep, I'm going to culinary school.
That's amazing. It's interesting you mentioned about Europe and processed food. I find that, everywhere I've been, food tastes totally different and in most cases way better than the food we have over here. It's a completely different,
100%.
like Middle East, especially Asia, Europe. It's just totally different world, and hence, you see the results of how we are as and as different nations and how people are in health wise. Um, what was the process and the journey of getting this documentary off the ground? Were you approached? Did you start something? Just tell me the story of how all that began.
I was approached after seeing a lot of people saw the Game Changers. And so that kind of opened up a lot of doors for me of people seeing me on camera. That documentary was based on, elite athletes being vegan. And then here I come as the chef that's cooking for these athletes. I think it was the athlete world, and especially as an elite athlete, it's very slim. But yet people loving to eat or cooking or whatever it may be, a lot of people took well to me and I got approached of, hey, the world needs to see you. Let's talk about how can we pitch out some ideas. And shout out to Molly Sims who helped open those doors and kind of spearhead that. And we didn't quite know what it was going to look like and how we were going to introduce me to the world. But we wanted something that's authentic to who I am and what I do. And that's ultimately showing people that it's not about a sacrifice. It's about what do you like to eat? And let's work off how you eat because just as well as you and we probably eat separately, completely different ways of eating and spices in different ways. And I never want to take that away from people. I want to leave you with the nucleus of who you are and what you love to eat because we all come with our different cultures and that's beautiful. And I don't want to take that away. I just want to show you the small tweaks and how you can change small things and make something so delicious. And that resonated more for me. And so going into restaurants and realizing that, hey, as I travel or if I'm in my own city that I live in, I can walk into restaurants all day long and there's never anything for me. And it's kind of pathetic. And I'm looking at restaurants going, people are becoming more innovative as in the way that they want to eat. Some people have to eat differently because of they may have some illnesses or food sensitivities. And why aren't we catering to those people? Why are you still stuck in this, this is my way or the highway? That just doesn't work anymore. Keep what you do, but offer up different variations for different customers.
Right. I mean, I think that's just the way, unfortunately, the way the world has been for a long time. Like I even remember when the internet came out, like, we're not going to have a website, then we're not going to have social media. We're not going to, what's the point? So I think people eventually catch on. It's just in the beginning, the early days, people have difficulty adapting to change. But I mean, I do see, especially depending on where you go. If you go to California, like it's, totally different world in terms of food. Like there's so many options, healthy food, vegan food, vegetarian food, as opposed to some other parts of the United States. So
Yeah.
it will take time, but it will happen, I'm sure, eventually.
Yeah. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to show I'm here to show people that it can be done and jump along, help us out. Like this isn't going to happen by itself. We have to all be a part of this movement of we want better food. We don't have to eat like crap. I mean, we're I always say it like this. This is the best way to say it. We vote with our dollars. So wherever we're whatever we're buying for our home, wherever we're going out to eat, that is what dictates what sticks around.
Yeah. It's true. And it's incredible. And I mean, look, I used to be part of this group where I didn't eat healthy, right? And now I'm very strict about what I eat. No carbs, and just making sure that it's proper food and not processed food as much as I can, not eating from outside unless I really have to travel and whatnot. But it makes such a difference in forget about your figure, in your head, in your brain, and your thinking completely turns upside down. Food has such an impact on our body, especially the food in North America. It's so processed that we don't realize um, how much that is. I mean, I'll give you this quick little example. It's not about vegan and stuff, but um, I don't eat any, deep fried stuff, you know, anything made in significant oil. After a while, we were at this restaurant, a South Asian restaurant, and I'm like, what am I going to order? Everything I eat is not here. I prefer to eat
Mm.
healthy, so I had to order a kebab. And little did I know that it was deep fried. So I had it, and 5 minutes later, I started getting a headache because my body was not used to it. So it's incredible how
Wow.
we can adapt either way. It's just about a matter of getting there and adapting that change. It makes a big difference once you do. And now I don't want to go back. But exactly the
Yeah.
same way after watching the film, and especially the whole chicken wing stuff, right? I was watching and I was like, how is this gonna taste? And it's funny how it was filmed and how the everybody reacted. I felt like now I gotta try this. So I'm gonna give that a shot.
I like that you're cleaning up your diet so much to where you're even opting out of fried foods. I mean, that's big. And often people do have to make those choices. And it's different things that lead us to that. But you're right. Like I remember completely um taking dairy and meat out of my diet, and it was a day where I was just running, 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 running. And I was like, oh my God, I need caffeine today. I just need caffeine. And I went to, one of those big box uh coffee shops, and I asked for an oat milk latte, and lo and behold, I got it. But it wasn't all the way oat milk because the syrup that they put in it had heavy cream and butter at the time. And I remember feeling so ill. Like I felt like I'm gonna vomit. I felt like I just was sick. I don't want to go too TMI, but I was very sick. And I was like, why am I so sick? Why am I so sick? And then I remember going online and looking it up, and it's like, I ordered an oat milk latte. What did I do wrong? And then I was like, okay, what was in the syrup that they put in there? And then I looked, and lo and behold, it was that.
Wow. Wow, that's yeah. It's incredible how we yeah, I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing because even the whole meat thing, like it's funny because I was talking to my trainer a few weeks ago and he's like, you try to cut your meat, right? Like cut it down. So if you're having like 4 times a week, try to have it 2 times a week. And and I know now because of going through all the changes that I've done in my diet that maybe about 4 years ago, I would tell my colleagues that I can never leave meat, but I know I can if I want to, right? Will I do that completely? I don't know. But point is, everything is damn possible if you put your,
Yeah.
mind to it. It's just in your head. Everything is in your head.
And it's, I like your approach of like, just, it's, it's my philosophy as well, crawl before you walk. And I'm not like beating over anyone's head. You got to go vegan today. You must do it or more animals are going to die.
Yeah.
That, that doesn't, that doesn't turn the page. It actually
No.
pisses people off. You're talking to independent, free thinking human beings. It pisses, I know, because it happened to me. It pisses people off. It makes people more defiant rather than, oh, I'm gonna conform to your way. It makes them throw up middle fingers to you. And I learned that. And as you can see in the episode, you have to have patience. You have to meet people where they are. You have to look at their background. There's so many haves to before people can say, oh, okay, I'm going vegan. So for me, it's how can I assist you? What information do you feel like you aren't getting? What is your holdup? And sometimes it's something as simple as I just love cheese. And I'm like, let me show you something. Let me show you a good cheese brand, or let me show you how to make some cheese. Like it can be that simple. So I'm here to just continue to plant seeds and let people know that you can do it. And it's not an all or none kind of approach. Approach it in the way of what's best for you, what's best for your family, and we can grow from there rather than the big old stop sign of halt, do not pass go of what most people do when you attack them.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Not just in this conversation, any conversation, when people are told what to do all the time, they're not going to do it. It's just like a child. When you tell a child, don't do it, they will do it. Uh, you know, talking about one of the things I loved about the doc was that the plot line was very simple, right? Like there was nothing complex about it. It was just a very simple concept. But it dealt with that thing about, not trying to change people's minds overnight, but just giving them a flavor, like your conversation with your husband and then the chef that you were, working with during the entire doc. It was really nice to see that because you're trying to give audience, you're reaching out to the audience who may not even know about what vegan 100% is and how to get there. So it's the balance approach, like you said, which was really, really cool and really nicely done. I really like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
How how are your kids in this plan, if they are at all?
They are.
They
My
are.
kids are vegan. My son has been vegan for several years, and he just recently, when was this? So he just started middle school, and he recently started eating somewhat vegetarian, and I let that be his choice. He still won't eat meat, but he will eat cheese. And I have to let my son make his decisions for himself as a 12-year-old. Um, I know why he did it. He felt like an outcast. You're going into middle school and you're like, I'm the only one. And I often talk to my kids about leadership. My daughter, she's like, heck no, like I don't want to touch anything that's not vegan. She's the opposite. But my son kind of is trying to find his way, and I had to let him know, look, I'm proud of you, and I want you to make your own decisions, because if you don't know why you do what you do, you're never gonna, uphold and stay true to anything you do. So know why you do what you do. Don't do it because mom does it. Don't do it because dad does it. Do it because this is who you are and you want to do it. Because when I was 12, guess what? I wasn't vegan. So find your way. And if I force him and say, no, you're not going to do this and do that, then guess what? I'm going to push him away and he's going to become defiant. So when he's at school, he will eat the cheese pizza on the menu or whatever. And that's how he's been. And when he's home and he's with us, he's vegan, but he kind of bends it when he's at school for the cheese pizza.
That's pretty cool. That's good that you've got that system going. And I think, that it's always about the natural progression of human beings trying to getting to a place where others want them to go to. And that's always the
Yeah.
best way because when you tell people, like I said earlier, and like you said too, it's like they're not gonna bother. They're not gonna bother at all.
Yeah.
Um, what's your favorite vegan dish or
My
top
favorite.
three?
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna pick three of my top three because it's the most requested for my cookbook. And a lot of that stuff is what you'll see in the special. Everyone loves a good truffle mac and cheese. So that's from my cookbook as well. Um, Another is the Caesar salad. These are the most requested. So I'm just giving you the most requested.
Sure.
And what I often crave, and I'm sorry because it's fried. I'm sure you could try
It's
a
okay. It's
baked
okay.
version or a air fried version, but um Cajun oyster fried mushrooms.
Oh, the one that's in the dock.
Yes, it is unbelievable. It's like my husband who hates mushrooms, by the way. I made him those and I didn't tell him what it was and he ate and I made him like those and I made a side of waffles. So it was this whole chicken and waffles thing I was making for him. And he ate like a whole sheet pan of them and was like, "What am I eating?" And I wouldn't tell him what he was eating because I knew he'd be, once I told him it was a mushroom, he'd just automatically stop eating it just out of pure, I must be defiant. So now, fast forward to 2024, he always tells people, I won't say what I won't eat anymore until I try it. And because she's proved me wrong so many times. So I love that dish.
It looked great. It definitely looked wonderful. I mean, that people were praising it in the dock, and they couldn't tell the difference until I think it was yourself or the other chef. I forget his name.
JD.
He JD, he mentioned it. Um, how much time did you spend in the actual, not the interview part, but the actual production of this whole ordeal about the plot, the way it unfolded? What was that like?
Not much time. It was honestly taking JD and taking what he had and just working with what we had. It wasn't manufactured. It wasn't like let's sit back and create these scenarios. And
Yeah.
we dealt with what we were dealing with on hand every second step of the way. And that's what a good production company would do. So High Noon, um, they were really good with just the producers that were on the show, taking what we have and really using it and amplifying that.
Yeah, you could tell when you watch it. You could tell it's nothing. People, audience have an eye, but I could tell like it was not staged in any way. Like everything had its organic and natural flow, which was really, really cool. That's why I enjoyed it because otherwise I probably would have given up after 5 minutes. Um, what is your message to again, you kind of touched upon this, but whether you're vegan or vegetarian or, even just trying to be healthy despite being a meat eater, what's your message in terms of health and food and how they're connected to people out there?
My message is to always just be more conscious. Not always, let me take that out. I hate absolutes. My message is to be more conscious and try to look at what's on your plate. Most people don't realize it. They're constantly in a state of just eating things because someone else eats it, or I eat it because I have for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And just stopping and just being like, what am I eating? What is this? Where did this come from? Is this a GMO product? Was this made in a lab? And what are they spraying on my stuff? There's so much things that you don't know until you know it. Like they say, you don't know until you know. Um, and I was just like appalled at the things that I learn, and I'm constantly learning about what's in our environment and what's on our plate. And so just connecting more with your food. And I'm not saying make this a full-time job, just stop and think about what am I eating? What is this? And I often start it with children, because most children can connect faster than adults. It's true. I've seen it. I've volunteered at schools, and I'll do a plant-based meal once a week and send it to the school. And I asked the kids that had, it was a Montessori school and they had chickens on the actual property. And I would ask them, what is when you're eating chicken, what is chicken? And they're like, oh, it's this and it's that. And they had all these different things of what they explained it to be. But I'm like, did you ever make a connection? Like it's the song, like on Old McDonald's farm, is it the same chicken that you're eating? And they're like, oh, it's the same. We're eating Old McDonald's animals. And it was just so cute. And making a connection to where is food grown, and hey, when your mom buys a tomato at the store, where does a tomato come from? And they're like, it comes from the store. And I'm like, no, it comes from a garden. And it's just taking those moments and finding out where's our food coming from and why is it on my plate? How did a tomato from Mexico end up on my plate right here in Nashville, Tennessee? There's no farms around here. What's going on? Making that small connection will literally open up all these doors of what's on your plate.
Yeah, that's really well said, and it's so true. You reminded me of something about when you said tomato. So I used to be, for the longest time, a Heinz ketchup lover, right? And
Mm.
up until a few years ago, my wife would get like the Costco can, the big one, and I'd probably finish it in 3 weeks. And then when I found out, I mean, I always knew because when you taste it, it's sweet, right? Then when I found out the sugar element in it,
Mm.
gone. It's been 2 years. I haven't touched ketchup, period. And it's amazing again how that was contributing so much to what my system was dealing with, and
Mm-hmm.
it completely turned upside down. And I again, it's just about that thing that you can do it. I know I can become vegan if I want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just about the approach and the mentality.
And it's not just the sugar, it's the when you flip that package around, it's
Yep,
so for listeners and people that don't understand is, well, how do you read an ingredient list? It's from the first ingredient all the way down to the bottom. So whatever is the first ingredient is the most in that product. So it goes from the biggest of what is being used to the smallest. So as you look at it, it's so empowering to turn it around and go, oh my gosh, first ingredient. It's not just sugar. It's a lab sugar.
lab
It's
sugar.
called high fructose corn syrup. It's what I won't even allow my kids to eat. If it's I boycott those foods because I've seen what it does to my children. I've seen what it does to me. So you talk about all this hyperactivity. Well, dang it, take that stuff away from the kids and see what happens. And it's so empowering to see that. And luckily, you guys came to that, epiphany of all the sugar. I mean, ketchup doesn't need to have that. And you will see it talk about other countries. You will see it in other countries that don't allow the high
Yep,
fructose corn syrup. You can buy a Heinz ketchup in the UK or in Europe, and you buy it here, total different ingredients, completely different. So why are Americans settling for this is because we have, again, our buying power has said we're going to continue to buy the crap and you guys are going to continue to make it for us.
100%, 100%. But at the end of the day, again, I mean, the change begins with us too, right? As human beings, of having that want and desire to make that change because that's where it begins. And once you have that, then, things shifting. And again, the health is the most important thing in your life. What you eat is the most important thing that you can do because if you have that, everything else will fall into place automatically.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Be proactive, not reactive.
100%. Thank you so much, Charity. I appreciate your time. Unless you want to add anything else, I'll give it a little closure. Do you have something else to add on?
No, just thank you so much for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. And unbelievably vegan premieres today on HBO Max. Thank you so much again, Charity.
Thank you. Have a great
Take care.
day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.